to the program. This is talking about development in the Catholic Church, especially in Chipata Diocese. Today we have special guests. We have Father Dennis Puntambuyo, the one who is teaching at St. Dominic's Major Seminary in Lusaka. Father, welcome to the program.
Thank you, and good afternoon, listeners.
Alongside Father Dennis, we also have a visitor from the United States, Mr. Brandon, who is visiting Chipata Diocese. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone.
Well, these are our guests, and our topic of discussion basically, we are going to dwell on the development of the church in the line of seminarian formation. So, Father Dennis, you are there at St. Dominic's, interacting with the seminarians, of course, teaching. In the development of the church, why do we need seminarian?
I would make a comparison with a garden. You don't have vegetables, you need a nursery. You plant, and then the nursery has seedlings which grow and mature into a vegetable plant where you can pluck a few leaves to feed on. And so priesthood cannot be without a seminary. A seminary is like a nursery where students train those who want to become priests. And so a seminary is simply indispensable. You can't do without it, because in order for one to become a priest, he needs to go through the seminary. The seminary is a process of formation to priesthood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, we throw the ball to our friends from United States, Brandon. In your case, what is your view on the issue of seminarian formation?
My experience in the United States has shown me that seminary formation very much agrees with what Father Dennis articulated. It's for the formation of young men into spiritual matters, not only for their local church, their local congregation, but for the universal church at large. And I find that among the seminarians that I have been able to get to know, I've seen them mature, I've seen them grow, I've seen them become better capable listeners, ministers of sacraments, and ministers of counsel to the people that they serve as they continue their formation. There's no question that seminary is a very integral part of a priest's development and formation as they prepare for ordination.
Thank you very much. Father Dennis, what does it take in the formation of these seminarians? Is it like the way it is in colleges where parents, they need to pay for themselves, they need to support them up to the end? What does it take for the seminarian to complete?
There are two stages of seminary formation. I will concentrate on the major seminary. As you may very well know, we have the minor seminary here in the Diocese of Chipata, St. Mary's. But St. Mary's is as good as a secondary school in terms of the level of education. Of course, there are different aspects which you don't find in an ordinary secondary school, high school, which you find in the seminary, like the spiritual aspects. But I'll concentrate on the major seminary. It takes 8 years for a seminarian to be ordained priest. Once a student finishes high school, be it from St. Mary's or any other high school, he goes to Emmaus Spirituality Center in Bauleni, Lusaka. there is 1 year of spiritual formation. That's why it's called Spirituality Center. 1 full year. From there, he goes to St. Augustine's Major Seminary in Kabwe. St. Augustine's Major Seminary is a philosophical college. A student goes there to study philosophy for 2 full years. That makes it 3 altogether. From St. Augustine's Major Seminary in Mpima, Kabwe, he goes to St. Dominic's Major Seminary in Lusaka, where I currently am residing and lecturing. There he does his first 2 years of theology. After 2 years of theology, he goes on 1 year of pastoral work. He returns to St. Dominic's after 1 year of pastoral work to do his last 2 years of theology. So in short, there is 1 year spirituality, 2 years diploma in philosophy, 4 years theology, and 1 year for pastoral experience. Now, each of these years demands a lot of expenses. It costs one seminarian about roughly 8 million kwacha per academic year. One seminarian. Roughly, on average. Emmaus has its own, depending on the setting and the circumstances. Emmaus has its own fee, Mpima has its own, but on average, about 8 million Zambian kwacha per student.
That is one semester.
One academic year.
1 academic year.
No, I think it's 1 semester.
1 semester.
For 1 semester, yeah. And so it becomes so expensive to pay for a seminarian. Very expensive. No, I think it was 1 academic year. 8 million Zambian kwacha. And if you're talking about 40 seminarians, that's lots of money. And so this money, each seminarian has to pay at the beginning of each academic year. And the parents may not be able, as it has proved before, to pay for their son, for their student. So the diocese takes over the responsibility to pay for these seminarians. So it's the diocesan duty to pay for all these seminarians, 8 million Zambian kwacha per academic year per student.
Now, people may wonder to say, to form a priest is very expensive, as you are saying, and the time of formation is long. Why can't you shorten it? Because we're talking about the core. This person has been called by God, and if we look maybe in the history of the church, some of the people who were servants of God were not as learned as the priest that we have this time around. So people ask questions that why can't they shorten the time of study?
You are right, but the world is changing. At that time, God called fishermen with very little education, if any at all. That was then, and this is now. The world has evolved, the world has changed. There are more challenging issues now than there were before. And in order to be a relevant priest to today's world, one needs a basis, needs some education. Quite all right, there might be demand for priests, and there is a vocation. Vocations are there to the priesthood. But we won't compromise the quality of priesthood because there is demand. We need priests who are well placed, who are well versed in the doctrine of the Catholic Church, who are well versed with the happenings of today's world. In short, a priest must be relevant. Otherwise, we have a bunch of illiterate priests who won't have any impact at all on society. So a priest must have the basic knowledge, basic education, and these seven years of academics and spiritual formation have proved to be quite sufficient in order for one to be well and fully baked, so that can be relevant to today's world. So as much as we need more priests very quickly, that will only be quantity, but we also look at the quality of priests in terms of our formation. So I agree that we need many priests because of the demand, but we won't just ordain anybody because we are in a hurry to have priests. We need priests who will be relevant to the modern world.
Mhm. Now, before we come to Brandon, what is the role of the lay faithful in the formation of the seminarians?
The lay faithful play a very important role. As a matter of fact, when I say the diocese is responsible for paying for the fees of the seminarians, at the end of it all, it must go to the lay faithful. Who is the diocese in the first place? The diocese is a community of believers led by a bishop in a particular area. And so when you talk about a diocese, it's not a diocese in a vacuum or in abstract. It's a diocese which composes of people, human beings, the lay faithful. The lay faithful come in supporting this both materially, spiritually, morally. Materially, I'm aware that there is a task force led by some lay faithful here, which raises money for the seminarians. First of all, the bishop has difficulties in raising the funds for the seminarians, and so he relies on the lay faithful to raise such type of funds. And lay faithful, both in the diocese and out of the diocese, and probably Brendan will say something about that. That's why he's here, because of his passion to help in the formation of seminarians. So they come in that aspect that they should contribute, give to the diocese in order to form the future priests of the church. But also, that's why the seminarians are sent for pastoral work. They need to interact with the people, that they can, even culturally, morally, spiritually, the lay faithful play a very big, important role to mold a seminarian into a good future priest. And so they are in the seminary most of the time, but when they are on holidays, it is the duty of the parents, the Christian community, to guide this seminarian, to mold him into the best person that he can be. So we help one another, the lay faithful, together with the bishop, in all these aspects: spiritual support, moral support, material support, financial support. All these are duties not only of the bishop, but most importantly of the faithful, because the bishop relies on the faithful for all these modes of support.
Well, for now, we listen to our friend Brandon. You are coming from the United States. Do you share with us the role of the lay faithful, the Christians? How do they help in the formation of seminarian there? How do you do it?
Sure. In my country, seminarians are also provided materially, spiritually, morally, culturally by the lay faithful. Principally, it begins with expenses, and so campaigns take place in most dioceses every year at every parish that are intended to collect funds that will be used to help support seminarian education and formation. As a matter of perspective, in the United States, the cost of tuition for a seminarian is extremely high, as prohibitive to a student as it would be in Zambia, in the Chipata Diocese, for a seminarian here. And so the barriers to entry, the barriers to formation, are very much the same, financially speaking. And so while families may be able to contribute to a formation financially, materially, to be able to do so on their own, independent of any other funds and any other sources, is very rare. And so these campaigns in the parishes often will include a testimony from a seminarian visiting the parish, talking to the congregation at the Mass about their vocation, the story of their vocation, as well as their experiences in seminary. And those experiences engage the faithful to want to be more involved and see the formation through, to see that seminarian's formation through. In addition to those aspects, each diocese assigns to each seminarian a parish for the duration of their formation, to be called their teaching parish. And a teaching parish is a parish that, when assigned, a seminarian is responsible for visiting twice a month, 2 weekends each month, and during that time they are to be present to the people of that parish. I was fortunate, very blessed and fortunate, to be on a committee of my home parish, St. John the Baptist, which is charged with the very humbling responsibility and task to provide some of the spiritual and moral support for our seminarians. And so the seminarian that was assigned to our parish met with us on a monthly basis for 4 years, the last 4 years of his formation, with the intent that we talk each month about a specific topic, whether it be the sacrament of reconciliation and preparing the seminarian for what kinds of things we, the lay faithful, struggle with in our lives, and the things that they could expect to have to work through with the congregation that they end up assigned to in the future as a priest. In addition, there are topics, such as what would make a good homily, what would make an engaging homily, how can a priest be present to the people in spite of their schedule, in spite of their lives, the busy lives that they lead. I think all of these things are very relevant to the Diocese of Chipata, because priests here have many parishes and outstations that they are assigned to, and getting to each one of them is very difficult on a regular basis. And so I think in short, in summary, we try to provide in my home country many different avenues to help our priests grow in their formation, so that by the time they are fully ordained ministers of the church, they have the tools, the skills and the tools in their toolbox that enable them to be the most effective priest that they can be.
Looking at the state of your country, you are coming from United States, there is a view, you are the one to put us in that, to correct our perception. There is a view that America is a well-to-do country, is a developed. Would really the seminarian need the kind of help that our own seminarian would need here in terms of financial support?
It's a good question. There is, without a doubt, tremendous pressures on families in my country, particularly sending them to a seminary. Seminary education in my country is, as I said, extremely cost prohibitive to families, as much as it is here. And in spite of the perception, I guess, the education that these seminarians are getting is the best education that is required for them to be ordained ministers of the church. As such, the cost is higher, the teachers are well paid, and the burden is, of course, that much greater. However, the formation of seminarians is considered to be, as Father Dennis indicated earlier, a charge for the faithful of the entire church, not just of one family. In fact, it is from the diocese that this seminarian comes, that the seminarian feels called to become a priest and to minister, and so it really is the duty of all the faithful to ensure that for the viability of the local church, that seminarian is able to see his vocation through to the end.
Wow, thank you very much. The key word that I've noted there is that the formation of the seminarian is the responsibility of the community, the lay faithful, because that individual comes from the community and is going to serve the community. As such, there is need that not only the family members, but the entire Christian community has to support that cause. Thank you very much, Brandon. Now we look at the issue of sustainability. these seminarian will be in the will be in the seminary, and at one point they will have to be ordained as priests. Now, life after the seminary, how does it go? Are they abandoned the support? Do you need to withdraw the support that the community was being given because this person now is a priest? How do you sustain the priest when they have finished their formation in terms of preparation to priesthood?
That's a very important question. There are different approaches. When one is still a seminarian, is considered to be a student almost 100% dependent on the diocese. When one gets ordained, I think the dependence reduces because one is somehow he has graduated, and yet that's the beginning of real life as a priest, the beginning of so many challenges. And once one goes into a parish like here in Zambia, in Chipata Diocese particularly, it is even more challenging than when you are a seminarian. When you're a seminarian, you don't really have to look for funds. The bishop has the sole responsibility. He also has the responsibility of his priests. But as a priest, you are in a parish, the bishop expects the community to take care of you. Now, you go to a parish like, I'm not making comparisons, but I have no choice. You go to Vubuye. People there are struggling, I call it struggling to make ends meet. That's a very rural parish. And I go there, the Christians must take care of me. How much will I expect? If they're equally struggling, I'm there, they're supposed to support me. Because the diocese, the bishop is not able because there are no resources. So what has been the system in the diocese is that the parish where that priest is must take care of the parish and the parish priest and the priest there. And you won't expect too much because the people don't have enough even for themselves. So it takes a lot of humility and you must be content with the little that the Christians will offer. But that contentment varies, and that is the reason why sometimes we feel we don't have the necessary means to minister effectively to the people because the resources are not there. So this probably is a challenge to the whole church, the community of believers. How best can we sustain the livelihood of the priests? Difficult. It's possible, but it's very, very difficult, but it's possible.
The people needs to be uplifted as well, isn't it?
Yes. And again, it's a challenge to the priest himself. Because if I'm proved to be irrelevant, I'm proved to be not effective, how do you uplift the people? How do they support you? We must also be committed. Who will be ready to give to a priest who is lazy, who doesn't do his work well? So it's not a challenge to the priests, to the priest fraternity, to be effective, to be hardworking, so that people in appreciation will be able to offer the tools for a ministry.
In winding up quickly, Father Dennis did mention that you are here with an interest in the development of the church in the area of formation of seminarian. Can you explain more about your coming here in Chipata Diocese and in Zambia?
Sure. A number of years ago, not 2009 to be exact, Father Dennis, next to me, is studying in Illinois, and he made a visit to my parish to give an appeal to speak to the community in Chipata specifically and the needs of the community there. And I was very struck by some of the things that he said, specifically the fact that at one time seminarians, due to a lack of funds by the diocese and the lay community, a number of seminarians from this diocese were asked to suspend their formations for a time. And I was very touched and moved by that, given that they had a call, they felt the call, and they tried to respond to the call, but they couldn't complete it. So my interest in coming here is to learn more about the situation in Chipata, I am very fascinated by the seminarians that I have met. They're extremely perseverant, hardworking individuals with incredible stories, and I'm very excited to take my new knowledge home with me, to raise awareness and hopefully some support as well for the people of this wonderful diocese.
Well, thank you very much. Because of time, we cannot go on and on. I would like to thank you very much for having appeared in this program, sparing your time, Brandon, as well as Father Dennis Puntambuyo. Thank you very much, and you're most welcome.
Last words from me.
In 1 second.
Yes. If Brandon can come all the way from the US with a passion to support seminarians, the rest of us should do equally the same. Thank you.
Thank you. That's nice, Father. We'll try also. I'm Chai Bunkoma. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening.